Today, the city commission, Jim, you'll take it from there?
Yes, sir. Mayor, Commission, called Mr. David Gardner has been terminated from the city of Port St. Joe. If you'll notice on the front page that I gave to you today, he has filed a formal grievance. The actual grievance, he says, please find this notice as my official request for a grievance hearing per city policy in reference to my termination, my denial of earned annual leave. So if you'll flip over to the next page, it actually gives your grievance committee selection process on there. So tonight, the first step will be for you to determine who you want to be on your 5-member grievance committee.
All right, how we gonna do this? Everybody name one maybe or something? That's what I was told they had done in the past.
Yeah,
Each commissioner.
that's fine with me. Yeah. You be first, and
Want me to be first?
might as well.
Larry McClammer.
Okay. I'll say Lynn Todd.
Mike LaCour.
You got there, Chief. I'm gonna go with Trent Davis.
I'll put John Grantland.
Make a motion to accept the 5 that were presented by the commission.
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Rosette, a second by Commissioner Esper. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, before we move any further, can everybody list that so I can write held down who all those were? It was Lynn Todd,
Yeah.
Larry McClammer, Lynn Todd, Mike LaCour, Trent Davis, and John Grant.
What's the next step?
The next step, Commissioner, will be for them to call a meeting, which Grievance looked at as well, would be subject to sunshine. So they would call a meeting to determine who their chairman would be, and then they need to do any fact finding they need to do and go ahead and get the hearing done as speedily as they can.
Does, Tom, do you sit in on that, on those meetings for advice or?
Certainly can.
what has it been done in the past, Tom? The last time we had one.
Last time, I don't remember one that actually went to the committee. There's been one or two that got settled before the grievance committee actually looked at it, so I don't know how we've done it.
Would Mr. Garner, I assume he could be present at every meeting that they have, or would be, or should be, or
Well,
what?
They have to basically do an investigation. So they're going to look at the at what the police department has done. They'll have the opportunity to look at the state attorney and the FDLE files. And while they're, it's not necessary that he be there while they're doing those things, but whatever they do at a meeting, he would be entitled to be there and should be there. And they would at least have the opportunity to listen to him tell the story, tell his side of the story. He hadn't been prepared to do that so far. I don't know whether he will be prepared to do that for the grievance committee or not.
My thoughts were, once they have their first hearing, that would maybe include him after they did their investigations. Would he have an attorney with him? And if he did, I would think that we would need to have one also.
He certainly would be entitled to have one if he wanted one.
Yeah,
So,
that was just my thoughts. That's why I thought maybe we should sit down on it.
Tom, from a timeline, how much time do we have after naming this committee for them to meet and come to a decision?
well, they need to get started as soon as they can, and because less because of what the formal timelines might be. We need to get this thing behind us.
Right.
And so I would encourage them to,
What are the formal guidelines?
you know, we are operating from a 1991 personnel policy, and it's not nearly as clear. When they have to do things, now they've got, I mean, they conduct such investigations as they find necessary, and they've got to have a report to you within 10 days of when they have a hearing. But when they have to have the hearing is not as clear as it should be. So I think you ought to ask them to do this as quickly as they can do it. I know they've all got more than full-time jobs. But,
I was under the impression when we picked these that we would pick one person from each department. Is that not correct?
the only criteria is that you can't have anybody in the police department.
Okay.
And I think that's smart.
Yeah,
Oh, I do
absolutely.
too.
You
I
can
agree
pick
with that.
5 people from City Hall or 5 people.
Just the way I
from-
read it was, is the way that a selection was picked was one from each department, but maybe I made that up. I don't know.
No, I think you did it.
The only reason I said that is you got Trent and John Grantlin both in the same one.
Just says cross section
And
of
I
the
would-
city employees,
Yeah.
so it really don't spell out.
And I think it's a good idea to spread it around,
Yeah.
but there's no requirement that it be.
Right, I
One
just
from
wouldn't want a
everybody.
situation to be where, John's department head and then he's got one of his staffers on that board with him and it caused a conflict between those two and difference of opinion. That would be a concern of mine, Tom.
Well, I mean, that's something that y'all should take into consideration.
So you picked the wrong one.
Jim, do you intend to get these 5 folks together and maybe give them a little direction, I guess, to?
What I'll do is I'll notify each one of them individually, since they are subject to sunshine on this. This is not something that they can converse and talk about amongst themselves upon this thing. So basically what I'll do is notify each one of them, get them to set up a meeting so they can call the chairman, and then they'll turn it loose to those folks. They'll do all the fact finding and bring you back a recommendation after they had a formal hearing.
Jim, every meeting that they attend now is going to be under sunshine. What is the notification process? How much time do we have to notice the meeting?
24 hours.
Can we go ahead and get the first meeting going? It looks like step 1 is to appoint a chairman of that board.
What I'll do is first thing in the morning, I will contact each one of these employees individually, let them know that, hey, look, let's go and call a meeting. I'll see if I can schedule the first meeting to get them going. And then once they establish that first meeting time, I'll turn it over to them. Yes, sir.
And then they can reject the nomination if they want to, right?
Absolutely. That's for them to
They have to pick
decide.
somebody else.
They need to pick amongst their peers who they want to be their chairman. Yes, sir.
Guys talking about this, you think in 100 years this situation would never come up of a grievance hearing. Tom, I guess as long as you've been on there, there really hasn't been one that actually came together. But if, while we're looking at this, we need to think about if we're going on, I don't know how this type of stuff works. But if we're doing it the old-fashioned way, we need to catch up. I don't know, Tom, are we? I mean, when you said
Well-
we're going from a 1991, I don't know what that means.
Some time ago, it was Charlie Weston's tenure. We did a fair amount of work on a new personnel policy. And actually spent a little money with a labor lawyer to ask them to review it, and nobody was really very excited about adopting it, so it's on the shelf, and it's been there for several years now. The the one that we've got, it works. I mean,
It's got
I
some
mean, is there
flaws.
some things that without, I mean, even, I don't mean that we have to go back to the one that, you know, that the labor lawyers showed us what they wanted us to do, but is there some tweaking we can do to this one here that in case we come across this again 6 months from now or 6 years from now, that we're looking down the line at how we can make this one better? Maybe, is that something you can do, Tom? Or is that something we need
I
to?
think the first thing I would do is dust off the one that we worked on.
You've already been nominated.
And let y'all look
All
at
right.
it, and then go from there.
Okay.
What we do, we have several notes beside the one that we have now that we've encountered problems on that we need to do some tweaking on. What I'll do is I'll pull that old one out that was approved by the labor lawyer. Y'all take a look at it, and if there's something y'all are interested in doing, it's not the one we got now is not an awful.
Yeah, and that's-
Not everything's changed in the last 20 years since 1993 when it was approved, but some things have changed.
Right. Right. Just anytime, you know, we look at find stuff that is old, let's try to get it updated.
We need a motion to adjourn this meeting, I guess.
We
Motion.
done?
I don't know. I'm
As
through.
far as I am, got a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I move, we adjourn.